Every retailer is adapting to that through, like I said, their dark stores in order to make themselves as convenient as possible and as available as possible to consumers. I wouldn't disregard the other platforms only because, like I said, every platform has its own target audience, and this is something that all brands actually, they need to look out for, because what you advertise on Amazon, especially in terms of messaging, is not what you advertise on Noon, let's say, or Carrefour. We do assess based on, definitely on the objectives of the client, but then you look at, how mature that specific retailer is, be it from, a tech perspective. What sort of metrics can we get? What sort of, insights are we able to get, or data are we able to get from these platforms? If you're comparing a ROAS of, let's say, Carrefour, which are now offering the attributed sales behind your campaign, versus your ROAS on Talabat, which is, it's just your sellout and how much you sold, regardless if that's from your campaign or not, then that's, you're not really comparing apples to apples.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Ibrahim.
How's it going?
Good.
Welcome to Below the Fold.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Karen Khattab on the show. Finally. This has been in the works for quite some time now. I've been trying to find someone who is an expert in e-commerce, in e-commerce media, and e-commerce performance marketing. And I think I found who I'm looking for.
Let's hope it's going to be a good one.
I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Do you want to give the listeners and the viewers like a bit of an intro? It can be short if you like, because I know, or long, up to you. But I know that we have a lot of e-commerce topics to cover.
We'll try to make it as brief as possible. There's a lot to say, to be honest. I'll give an intro about myself first. I've been in the industry for around 3 years now. I work with Publicis as part of their e-commerce department, looking into shifting to a new adventure and journey soon.
Exciting.
But that's basically it. There's a lot, honestly, to learn from the market, because it's, an ever-evolving market. So I'm happy and I'm excited to tap into it with you.
Nice. I like that. Yeah. Thank you, for the intro. And I am excited about your next venture. And I look forward to, seeing what you will be doing, and also what you'll bring on the show, perhaps potentially in upcoming visits and episodes. Let's get right into it, right? I did cover an episode, I believe it was the second or third, on e-commerce, but I did want to do another one with someone who is working in that area, 5 days a week. And also that is working in retail media, which we'll tap into. But before we get to retail media, why don't we talk a little bit about e-commerce in MENA, or the state of e-commerce in MENA, growth trends, the market size, who are some of the key players. I feel like nothing's changed since the last episode. Obviously, it's been 4 months. But it's still quite a small market when it comes to e-commerce, right? The MENA region, as opposed to markets abroad like EU and US.
Definitely.
Any idea, like what are the movers and shakers? What are the growth drivers? Do you think it's a matter of investment? I had my previous guest on e-commerce say that e-commerce is a factor, or the growth of e-commerce is dependent on how much e-commerce players invest, right, to grow their platforms. Do you agree?
Definitely. So I think the region is, like I mentioned previously, it's an ever-evolving field. In e-commerce in specific, you have UAE and KSA being like the leaders and having e-commerce as part of their I think it's biggest. Or at least it's a growing bit as part of the economy. When it comes to the growth of it, we're seeing massive growth. We're looking at around, that's what statistic by McKinsey, around 91% of the consumers shop on e-commerce in KSA, and 14% of them mentioned that they shop on e-com on a daily basis. So that's a crazy number. Comparison to UAE, around also like 98% of the consumers, they shop on e-com platform. And that's like an increase from 89% last year. So they find them on these retail on these e-com platforms, which all the retail media platforms find this a great opportunity for them to tap into this e-com growth that we're seeing in the region.
Right, but this 90%, do you think it's all retail, or is it also, for example, mobility or hail riding apps or super apps? Or you know what I mean? So any online transaction would be categorized under this number, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it could be anything, but I would say retail media is a very big part of it.
Okay.
And retail media, I mean, it's literally it's an opportunity that is out there, and I think every retail media platform found this. Like I said, they wanted to hop on the trend of this e-commerce growth in order to mark their presence, in order to be available for these consumers that are looking for this the convenience of buying things online.
So who is the biggest e-com platform now in KSA?
I would say definitely Hunger Station, Talabat. Hunger Station is Talabat, but you have Panda as well. I mean, these are, I would say, one of the biggest retailers. Definitely you have Ninja, and then the other similar platforms. But we can't forget Amazon as well. Amazon is huge in KSA. And I would say it's sort of the same in UAE. In UAE, the availability of retailers is much bigger, and I would say that they are much more mature and advanced. But UAE and KSA, like I said previously, these are the top countries in the region that are maturing by the year, to be honest.
And there's it feels like these what were previously food aggregators or food delivery apps have gained ground over pure players, right? Have ventured into grocery shopping, for example. Now you see other things on their apps, like electronics. You see other verticals being launched, fresh foods, right? Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, all of that stuff. So are they ahead now from pure plays?
I think, or at least how we usually categorize commerce players, we usually put them into like 3 different buckets. You have your omni-channels, so we're looking at Panda, Carrefour. You have your pure players, like you said, that's Amazon, that's Noon, and you have your aggregators like InstaShop, and we can consider Talabat because they do have their dark store, but they also have the local shops where you can also advertise there. And one of the biggest trends, I would say, nowadays is quick commerce, and that's a term that you hear a lot. And when it comes to quick commerce, just going back to, I just want to define it, and then I'll tap into your question. So quick commerce is a new term that I believe every retailer is trying to take that opportunity because, like I said, consumers are looking for convenience, they're looking for efficiencies, and we all know that the retail delivery or the delivery that we usually buy, be it from groceries or whatever it is, that's a standard maybe 2-day delivery. But with quick commerce, and this is something that is also growing massively, it's the fact that you can have your items, be it groceries or whatever it is, mainly groceries, but again, you name it, the retailers are tapping into other categories as well. You have that between 15 minutes to an hour straight at your door. And that is, again, this is crazy, especially one of the pure players like Amazon are tapping into it by their collab with Lulu Fresh, which is getting your items, especially groceries, within 2 hours. And that's, again, also something that's very very interesting to see. When it comes to what these retailers are pushing on these platforms, I think it's growing much more than just the pure players. Every retailer, be it within these three categories, are trying to be available and to basically provide everything that the consumer is looking for through their platforms.
Right. And who's winning the race today of quick commerce?
For quick commerce, I mean, you would there. I mean, definitely Carrefour, Talabat, Noon, and I mean, you have Noon Minutes, which you can literally some items are delivered within. They would say 15 minutes. You can get them in 10, 12 minutes. So on quick commerce, I think it's a battle between all of these players. But if you tell me or if you ask who's winning in terms of commerce in general, or a retailer that is winning on all different fronts, and we can tap into that later, I'd definitely say it's Amazon.
Okay, it's interesting you say that, because I was under the impression that it would be these aggregators or these super apps like the Hunger Station or Talabat, because they can tap into the nearest store next to your home, right? Whereas a Carrefour will need to get you your groceries from the nearest Carrefour, right? And it's more likely that there is an Enoch or a gas station, for example, that's nearby that these super apps could tap into, which is closer.
Yeah.
You know, there are more grocery stores than there are Carrefours, right? That the super apps could tap into.
But then when it comes to such retailers, let's say Carrefour, they do have their own, I would say, maybe dark stores just for these quick or shop now, they would call it. That's what they're called on Carrefour. They do have their dark stores, I would say, in order to deliver these, fast deliveries, or to cater to this fast delivery request from consumers. So I think every retailer is adapting to that through, like I said, their dark stores in order to make themselves as convenient as possible and as available as possible to consumers.
I had no idea about the dark stores. This is completely new to me. I don't. You have insider information there. Very, very valuable. So dark stores, interesting. Excellent. I like this quick commerce notion. I see the race happening between these different platforms, whether you name it. Like you mentioned, retailers who are omni-channel, right? Retailers. You have the digital retailers who are also venturing into, offline presence as well. And I think we all know that Amazon has also good offline presence in markets like the US, like with Whole Foods, and potentially also some dark stores. I don't know about dark stores in the UAE for Amazon, but I see the value in partnering with Lulu Fresh.
Exactly.
And Noon, and also you have these food aggregators that are today sort of repositioning themselves as the largest, basically, stores, right? And a directory to the largest number of items that you can order from. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've seen the campaign for Talabat that is live now on billboards, where they say they have 18,000 plus SKUs, that you could tap into. So definitely exciting stuff. Right, and it's good to hear that there is some ground, or there is some traction from local e-commerce players, right? What do you think sets local e-commerce players apart from these global ones?
You mean in terms of what makes them unique?
Yeah, is there something that they are benefiting from, or are they lagging behind because these global players bring a global expertise, for example?
I would say when it comes to these different retail media channels, each has their own target audience, and this is what makes them unique versus others. So even if, let's say, Amazon is, like you said, it's a global player, it has a lot of expertise from their global presence. I would still not I wouldn't disregard the other platforms, only because, like I said, every platform has its own target audience, and this is something that all brands actually, they need to look out for, because what you advertise on Amazon, especially in terms of messaging, is not what you advertise on Noon, let's say, or Carrefour. That's something I wanted to tap into later when it comes to the different messaging, or the different approach that you take on each retailer.
Yeah.
So the global like the expertise that these platforms get from other markets is extremely essential. But the local presence of retailers, they have their advantages, and they have their expertise, be it from tapping into a specific target audience, communicating these I would say local messaging, or local way of dealing with the consumers here.
Right. Makes sense. And this is where the entire, I guess, marketing funnel becomes more valuable, right, for an e-commerce brand, and where this local messaging sits nice and comfortable, right, especially on upper funnel activities, right, when it comes to building that brand equity with your audience, where it's important to have that sort of local insight, local message. Let's move to another, or like the important topic, I suppose, for today, which is retail media. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can see you smiling because you have so much to say about this. Before we get into the specifics, why don't we try to define it?
Yeah.
So, what is retail media today?
So there are two terms that are used out there. You have retail media and you have retail media networks. Retail media is actually the advertising space on these retail media networks. But what is retail media in general? This is your like retail media platforms, like we mentioned, your Amazon, your Noon, your etc., offering advertising space, be it online or offline, for brands in order to push their products to the consumers out there. And when it comes to retail media, I mean, we did mention a couple of retail media platforms, but the growth of these platforms is massive, be it from a tech perspective, be it from a capability perspective, formats. I mean, just within these 3 years of me, like, working on ground with multiple brands on retail media, I've noticed like crazy amounts of updates, like I said, be it from a formats perspective, be it from new approaches that the retailers are trying to add to their space in order, one, to be competitive, or to have that competitive edge over the other retailers, and two, to try to reach as much consumers as they can through their platforms. And yeah.
And retail media network.
Retail media network, it's just like I said, the retailers that are out there, and the retail media is literally the advertising on these on these platforms.
And tell me a little bit about comparing retail media here and outside. So anything that is different in the region versus global. I don't know if you ever managed to see that, for example, in the US, there may be some aspects about retail media or elements that haven't surfaced here yet.
I mean, I would definitely say the retail media space abroad is much more advanced, be it from a tech perspective, be it from, if we just take Amazon in specific, they have, their live commerce, but there was a brand that actually tested some sort of live commerce over here, which I'd love to talk about too. In a bit. But be it from, they are much more advanced on that front. They are more advanced in the tech that they use. Be it, the Tesco has their scan and go, where you could, scan your items, and eventually I would say that they could even start advertising on these use, digital carts when people or consumers are shopping. So Walmart has, their Walmart Connect, where it's a platform where consumers could get more insights about their presence on the platform. So I would say in terms of tech and audience insights, they are much more advanced. But I would say that we are on the right track in the region. Because we do have, some platforms that's how you compare a platform to another, and that's how we assess platforms when we, let's say, want to recommend it to a specific client.
Yeah.
We do assess based on, definitely on the objectives of the client, but then you look at, how mature that specific retailer is, be it from, a tech perspective, what sort of metrics can we get, what sort of, insights are we able to get, or data are we able to get from these platforms.
Yeah.
So, again, I would say we're on the right track. We're not as advanced, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. And there is a big element of self-serve, right? That is gaining traction in the region, right? Some platforms or some pure players offer brands the ability to quickly get on the platform, right? Get their products in front of customers, get their ads in front of customers. Some are still not offering, right?
Yeah.
Self-serve.
Yeah. So I would say self-serve is also one of the factors that we I would say assess a retailer from another. So you have your Amazon, where you could literally launch your, be it search, or you could launch your DSP. So all of your banners, everything related basically to DSP directly from their platform. Talabat recently launched their Talabat ads platform, where currently you could launch your search campaigns, but they're definitely looking into adding all of their display banners, or having or giving basically brands opportunity to launch their banners directly from their Talabat platform. Carrefour have their self-serve platform, and Carrefour now collaborated with Criteo to use their tech and their platform to reach the consumers in the best way possible. So it's also search for now, but eventually they will also add display. So self-serve is essential. You do have other platforms where it's still a direct buy, where you have to seek every platform, share whatever you have, and or basically it's really seek their help in order to launch or assess and even get any sort of reporting or analysis from them, and it still sits with them.
Okay. Cool. And why do you think retail media is important in MENA for advertisers? I think there's an obvious answer for endemic, right, clients, and we can tap into that. But I'm also interested to get your view on non-endemic clients. And please explain what is endemic and non-endemic.
So first, let me just answer why brands should or why retail media is important. I think at this stage, it's not a matter of if it's important or not, or if a brand should be present or not. It's how present are you on these platforms. The scene is getting very competitive, be it having new retailers that are coming into the market, or brands are getting more competitive on these platforms. So like I said, it's how competitive are you, and not whether you're present or not. I think at this stage, it's a must to be present on these platforms. When it comes to endemic and non-endemic, I think non-endemic. So endemic is if you're actually listed or you're present on these platforms and you advertise, and non-endemic are the brands or that are not actually present or do not sell on such platforms. And I think one of the platforms or retail media platforms that offer that sort of opportunity for non-endemic clients, because I do see that non-endemic clients, even though they do not advertise on these platforms, they still want to reach these consumers, and they know that the consumers are present on these platforms and they want to be there. So they're trying to find this workaround to be present and still create that awareness for the brand itself, while with the space that they are able to. And I think one of the platforms that gave that sort of opportunity and space for these non-endemic clients is Amazon. Definitely. You have, certain you would see certain advertisements or homepage takeovers on Amazon for Emirates Islamic Bank, Fab, Emirates Airlines. I mean, these are definitely. I mean, we all know that these brands do not sell on Amazon, but they did find that opportunity to create that awareness.
Could you list an example why, for example, one of these brands found it relevant to be on these platforms? Is it related to targeting, for example?
Because I mean, like I said, consumers are on these platforms.
Yeah.
They know that I don't know, people that buy flip-flops or like snorkels, I'm just giving anything, or goggles, are people that they want to travel. So that's, an opportunity for Emirates Airlines to target the people that are looking for or are interested in traveling. I mean, you have so much data. You have you have that audience data or the insights on these platforms, especially Amazon, and that's, I would say that's what differentiates it from the other platforms, is the amount of data that you have access to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pushing, even if it's a non-endemic client, using that audience data while targeting the people that are most likely to be interested with your brand, I think it is essential, and it's a great opportunity for these non-endemic clients to push their brands on these platforms, because their audience is there. It's just a matter of it's not your usual way of advertising, but again, here's their opportunity.
Yeah. So would you say also that the quality of the targeting on retail media versus other media is very compelling, right, for these advertisers? So it's not just targeting someone who is interested to buy flip-flops or interested in some travel equipment. It's someone that is showing high intent in buying these items that are very relevant, a signal which is very relevant, but not just high intent, also has bought.
Exactly.
Right, in the recent present. Right, these line items, which make it very, very compelling. We're talking here about deterministic sort of targeting versus probabilistic, right? So which I feel would make retail media much more compelling to add to both. I mean, obviously endemic and non-endemic clients.
Yeah.
And and sorry, you go ahead. But I mean, also the other point that you highlighted, which was very interesting and spot on, which is not just the quality of the targeting, but the amount of segments that they offer, right? I think last time I checked with Amazon, if my memory serves me right, they had like 1,000+ different segment. Has that number grown, or?
I mean, be it from an audience perspective, definitely. And like you said, this was something that I wanted to highlight and emphasize on even more. It's the opportunity to not just target, in market or lifestyle audiences. So those, be it those that are interested in or in the category itself, or those that are more, most likely to interact with your brand, or let's say in your category. But it's the fact that you could also retarget, and that's something that is very interesting about Amazon, is you get to make your ads as relevant as possible, be it and like I said previously, and this is something that I would emphasize to every single brand when it comes to, especially on the planning bit of things, is it depends on your objective. So if we're looking at an awareness perspective, I mean, we all know that commerce in general, or retail media, what every brand is trying to achieve is the lower funnel, but within that space you could still target the full funnel journey from awareness down to purchase. So going back to the audience perspective, definitely the space has grown even further, and the I think how how specific you could target your audience is also something that has become even more advanced on the platform. And when it comes to Amazon, it's not just about, targeting the different stages of the funnel with different formats, because every stage, has its metrics, has its formats. And it's not just that, it's also taking it a step further to understand your audiences further. So they have the Amazon Marketing Cloud, which is one of their top tools where it helps you understand, be it from your display, from your sponsored ads, activity. So it helps you understand your consumers further, build customized audiences in order to target your audiences even further. So what are my audiences buying? What are they most likely buying other than my brand? What are they buying with my brand? You also have vendor centered that also tells you, their basket size analysis, what's being bought with your brand. So there's literally I think the sky is the limit when it comes to the data that you could get with Amazon, which is why I'm not because I'm biased. I have nothing to do with Amazon. It's just the facts are there that Amazon is, I would say, the most advanced, be it from a tech perspective or from an audience perspective. And this is something that I would say is a challenge with the rest of the retailers.
Yeah.
The amount of audience, the amount of data that could be shared versus Amazon in this case.
Yeah. I mean, look, if this is reality, if those are the facts, the truth has to come out, right?
Definitely.
if they're more advanced than their competitors. So yeah, I was gonna say that we spoke a little bit about non-endemic, but then also endemic. It's a different ballgame, right? There's an entire different suite of solutions and data and insights. You mentioned vendor central as well, right? That these endemic advertisers could tap into in order to grow their brand or grow their revenue, And I wonder how much is available from an endemic perspective for other on other platforms. What would you say comes close to Amazon? From like an insights perspective, knowing, for example, what other products is your audience purchasing, for example.
Listen, when it comes to insights, I think, like I said, Amazon would be the top, because and that's a challenge that, I mean, every brand or every client, I would say, is trying to get out of the retail media space is insights, because everyone wants to understand, what anything about their audience, what their interests are, what they're buying, how they're interacting with their brand. And when it comes to these sorts of insights, retailers in the region are still very conservative with their data. So they're sitting on a lot of first-party data that, I mean, could be of help for brands, because, like I said, it will help them be more relevant to the consumers that are seeking their brands on the platform. But they're still very extremely conservative. I would say maybe Carrefour are on the way to sharing. To a certain extent, that audience insight that the brands are looking for after Amazon. But I mean, as for the rest, this is something that we're still not getting from these platforms. So in order to assess, let's say, or trying to understand the audiences, we look at multiple factors instead of the actual, audience insights. We would look at, what every retailer is able to offer, because right now there is an inconsistency with what each retailer offers, be it from a metric perspective, be it from a data perspective. So it's not like you can let's say put all of these retailers in, like, I don't know, I would say Excel sheet, and try to assess your performance or any brand's performance across these. You still cannot do that because like I said, every retailer shares a different sort of
metrics.
Exactly. So in this case, or how we assess in order to see how to approach every retailer, is we look at our objective per retailer, and we look at how what that retailer is able to offer and benchmark this to our targets, be it from an attributed perspective, be it from a sellout perspective, all of this so that sort of approach, because again, this is what we have, and you have to work with what you have.
Right. Yeah. Well, you have to work with what you have, right? Yeah. Let's talk about the metric. Since we spoke about metrics, let's talk about the metric that matters the most, right? The one and only metric that beats them all, right? Do you know which one I'm talking about? ROAS. Thank you very much. Return on ad spend.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna matter when you look at return of ad spend, when you compare return on ad spend between these different channels, right, or platforms. No amount, perhaps, of insights, of data segmentation is going to matter to the brand manager or the advertiser if the return on ad spend is high for a particular platform, right? You can come and debate and fight for pushing a particular platform, but if another one is delivering a high return on ad spend for the advertiser, he's not going to move a penny, right? So in terms of return of ad spend, how are these platforms faring? So Amazon obviously offers a lot, offers a lot of solutions, offers a lot of insights. Is this being reflected on the return on ad spend? Is there another platform that perhaps doesn't offer as much rich insights, let's say, in segmentation, but has very good return on ad spend?
Listen, I think when it comes to the return on ad spend, I think this is, like you said, it's a metric that every client sleeps thinking about and wakes up thinking about. And this is sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's not really your go-to metric. And I would say this for one reason, because one, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. Let's say via that specific campaign that you're trying to do, that approach, because there are sometimes this metric does not really, it's not really the best metric to look at if your objective is, I don't know, like brand awareness, I would say. And this is something that Amazon would definitely agree with, is that you look at it depending on the different stage of the funnel. For example, on an awareness perspective, you're not going to look at ROAS, you're just going to look at your impressions that you're trying to achieve. So when it comes to ROAS in specific, like I said, because every retailer offers different sets of metrics, and I'm looking at attributed. So attributed, be it sales or metrics, it's how much your specific campaign achieved within that specific period of time versus your sell-out. And that's also another metric that retailers use, which is how much you sold, be it from a paid or organic perspective within that period. So if you're comparing a ROAS of, let's say, Carrefour, which are now offering the attributed sales behind your campaign, versus your ROAS on Talabat, which is it's just your sellout and how much you sold, regardless if that's from your campaign or not, then that's you're not really comparing apples to apples, I would say, because you're looking at, again, an attributed sales, so how much you sold from this campaign versus how much you sold in general within that period. Mm-hmm. So I would say we look at each, like I said previously, we look at each platform by itself. Maybe we would look at sellout in general to assess platforms between each other, just to see where we're, where we want to push more. From an advertising perspective, where we want to invest more. So I would say sellout is sort of the
common metric.
Exactly, a common metric. But definitely when it comes to assessing on a campaign perspective, we look at each retailer by itself. Okay.
And from a sellout perspective, is there a good platform that's performing really well, that's coming close to Amazon?
To be honest, I think it depends on the category.
Yeah.
Because for example, for grocery, Amazon, it's still, like I said, they have collaborated with Lulu, etc., but they're not there yet. I have to say it. Yeah. But when it comes to other platforms, again, like for grocery, you'd have your Carrefour, your Talabat that are doing, that are performing wonders. But when it comes to other categories like electronics, I mean, beauty, personal and beauty care, like all of this, that sort of category, then yes, your Amazon is your go-to, your, Carrefour, Talabat, etc. So I would just say that it depends on the category and the industry of your brand, and this is, where you assess what platform works best for you.
Okay. I guess it should depend on the audience, what retailers the audience use, right?
Yeah.
I think this is an exercise that has to be done, right? When you launch a campaign, you need to understand where do you allocate your investment based on the audience, right? First. And also based on the product, right? There may be some retailers that are better at selling cosmetics than others, right?
Definitely.
It seems kind of odd that a Talabat would beat an Amazon when it comes to cosmetics, or a Carrefour potentially. Okay, it makes sense. I what I'm trying to get to is, I don't want to scare the audience and the listeners into thinking that it's either Amazon or nothing else. When it comes to results, like tangible results, right? We know that Talabat has a lot of penetration here in the UAE. I mean, and also in KSA via Hunger Station. Other retailers have also a lot of presence, but there may be a feeling that they're not as agile and as user-friendly to set up a campaign and launch a campaign as Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it would be good to know that, yes, they're not as user-friendly as Amazon, but they do generate results.
Definitely. And it really depends, like I said, it really depends on the industry, because for some brands, your Talabat performs much better than your Amazon. So it depends on, and I would say, or I would at least recommend every brand to test out, to test out these different platforms to see where they're performing better, in order to, understand where their audience, where is their audience present, where should they target, what sort of messaging, because like I said, your content should differ between, one retailer to another, be it if we're looking at omni-channel, you're pushing, your people are looking for multi-packs, that sort of messaging.
Yeah.
You're looking at when it comes to quick commerce, you want people to, it's impulse, so you want people to, buy on the spot. You don't want them to, they're not gonna, discover and, try to read around the everything around the product and, study that product that much, because they're there, they want to buy, they check out, you know. So I would definitely say, it really depends on your brand. I would definitely push every brand to test out, be it different formats, different platforms, in order to see what works for them.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna say, so beyond the data, the segmentation, right? That you can use to personalize your message, right? Not just be relevant, but there are other things, other elements that you could take into account when choosing your retail mix, right? Retail media mix, which is also formats, right? Some platforms offer you a really, really cool way to convey your message, right?
Definitely.
To display your brand, as opposed to other platforms. Their formats are maybe a little bit more standard.
Yeah.
And basic. Some platforms offer live commerce, like you said, or video. Other potentially don't offer such formats.
Yeah.
right? And this is high impactful. This
Definitely.
is highly impactful, right, on your decision.
Yeah, because I mean, these different formats, they definitely assess how advanced that specific platform is. So one of the things are, do they offer search or not? This is something that's also, you know, growing.
Yeah.
And search, at least on some platforms, and we're looking at not just UAE KSA, we're looking at Egypt. So all these platforms in the region, most used to offer search as a fixed placement. Some still do that, where you can, you know, just book based on a specific keyword or a specific, you know, category. You book these spots such that when people look for that specific keyword or category, your brands are on top. But now, be it Amazon, Talabat, or Carrefour, and definitely other platforms are looking to mature their platforms further. It's search has become biddable. So you know, there's that sort of a performance bit that you also need to take into account. You know, being present, being aggressive, being present all the different formats on search. And then apart from search, you have, like you said, the different banners across the journey. So you have your banners on awareness, consideration, or purchase at checkout. So it's crazy. And then there's another layer to that, which is offline presence. So be it, you know, Carrefour, they have their in-store screens. They have now checkout screens. So it's literally targeting people, you know, throughout their whole consumer journey, or throughout their, you know, at different touch points throughout their purchasing journey. And another thing is, like, offline, you have your your sampling boxes, or sampling like co-branding bags, I mean by boxes, or you're sampling you know, products that you know, push across, and they could actually be targeted as well. You know, you're targeting, I don't know, if you're like, let's say a Lenovo, you could target, you know, an HP consumer. So you're not gonna sample a laptop, but I'm just saying that how targeted you could get. It could be a chocolate brand, but and that's another thing. Is one of the biggest campaigns that happened was with Amazon in KSA, with the boxes that they shared. They were like 500k boxes that were shared to promote skin diversity in KSA, and that was, you know, one of the most engaging campaigns that launched in KSA by Amazon, where, you know, that they encouraged consumers to fill in the blank, my skin is my. And then it's, you know, the consumer is free to write out any keyword that would reflect, you know, their feelings towards, you know, their skin, their you know, self-love, all that sort of you know,
expression.
Communication. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of I think it's not really limited to in-store or online. It's, you know, everywhere.
But just tell me a little bit more about this campaign. So they where did they write it? On boxes?
Yeah.
And people obviously then shared this on social media, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the point. So it's just you know, promoting, like I said, skin diversity in KSA, and they would invite, or the way they wanted it to be. So inviting these consumers to type in or express that or the reflection on their own, you know, skin, and share it on social media. So having it, you know, as an engaging campaign.
This was done by a cosmetics brand, Nivea.
Yeah, it was Nivea.
That's very smart. I really like that. It's a very smart way to deliver a sort of an experience at scale, right? So use retail media's fleet in order to deliver like a tangible sort of experience, right? I like that, and and I'm sure that the results were pretty good, right?
Yes. No, they were good.
And the ROAS. The ROAS was good.
I mean, that's a reach campaign, so I wouldn't look at a ROAS in specific, but definitely, I would definitely say there was an uplift in sales, and people did seek the brand, discover the brand even further through
Yeah.
that the brand store of the brand, which is like a mini website on Amazon, where people get to discover the brand further. I'm sure there were more the keyword search volume increased for that brand during that period.
Okay, and w- I know that we're getting close to the end of the episode. I do want to ask a few more questions and get your input on some of these areas. The first one is, who do you think needs more training when it comes to e-commerce and retail media in specific?
Are we talking about brands?
Yes, of course. Brands? No, you don't have to name a brand.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to go there.
No, you don't have to name a brand, but I would say between brands and agencies. Obviously, agencies have jumped on the opportunity to offer retail media as a service to advertisers, and it's been very successful. For both international brands and regional and local boutique for international agencies and regional and local boutique agencies, right? There's been tremendous success in offering this kind of service, and obviously there's more growth, right? That's bound to come from this area for agencies. Do you think they're ahead today when it comes to knowledge and expertise in this area, or do you see expertise also coming from brand side, from advertiser side?
Yeah, I think when it comes to agencies, they are getting there. I mean, I would definitely say some agencies are all the agencies are adopting their e-commerce and retail media bit and adopting it to their clients. I think when it comes to the knowledge that when it comes to agencies, it's there. The agencies are educating themselves on a daily basis because, like I said, it's an ever evolving industry. So you're gonna have to stay on top of it, basically.
Yeah.
But when it comes to brands, I still think that at least most of the brands are still lacking on that front. And I would say when it comes to educating brands, I think it doesn't have to stick within those that are responsible for the e-com side of the business, but definitely when it has to be extended to the brand teams, the marketing teams as well, because and this is something that we've tested it with brands. Once the brand teams and the e-commerce team collaborated, we saw success like no other.
Yeah.
So I think this is extremely essential. Educating brand teams, be it through workshops, be it through attending calls. Scheduling calls on a frequent basis to keep that to keep the teams in the loop. One, to see the importance of e-com, and in order to create that 360 campaign between media and commerce, because again, nowadays they should not be two standalone departments. They should work together, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to push is everything media needs to be shoppable. So we're trying to direct all of the media campaigns to our retail media platforms. Same thing when it comes to big campaigns. So big campaigns, everything that we're trying, or as everything that's being advertised on a media front, should be mirrored on commerce as well. And just in order to complete that journey, and like I said, this is something, as soon as we tested it out with some brands where we worked together, or at least we put these two teams in the same room, we started seeing a massive success stories.
Right. That's very good to hear. Would you say there are there any relevant third-party tools that are useful today to help, I guess, in the space, whether it's from a planning perspective or from a result tracking perspective? Or are we still in a place where we need to rely on each individual platform to track the progress and results?
I think when it comes to, for example, like search, automation, etc., you do have very good platforms like Sky. It's like it's one of the platforms that where you could definitely use on search, and eventually it's going to grow even further on display. Automating your bids, creating budget rules, etc. When it comes to content, like I said, this is definitely something that could be pushed even further. There's nitty-gritty that could help you with your content audit, your content presence, versus competitors, etc. But when it comes to, I think, the planning bit of your budgets, etc., or consolidating the data in one specific dashboard. I mean, it is something that can be a bit tricky because, like I said, every platform has their own ways of working, their own metrics that they're able to share. So it's not like it can get tricky to consolidate them. But definitely, in-house, tools and in-house dashboards could be of help. But I wouldn't depend or rely mainly on them only because, just in order to avoid that confusion due to the inconsistency of data.
Okay. Amazing. Well, Karen, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming here. This was very insightful. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you grow in the space and, of course, sharing with Below the Fold all the knowledge on e-commerce and retail media.
Thank you for having me. We could go on for days talking about this, but
I'd love to.
Thank you for having me. And
Thank you. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.